Hey Logan and Jackie, this is Adrian Gomez with 212 Athlete. Thanks for sending the videos in. I'm very excited to work with Logan, and I really will see what we can do. So right out of the gate, out of his squat, he's down to 115 degrees, which is pretty good. It's not bad. What we need to get to is in the low hundreds, and so if we can get him to squat better, that's quite a bit. It's about 90 degrees right there. So he's so close to 90 degrees just being able to sit back in this direction. If his butt can get more over his ankle and squat better, he's going to have a lot more power out of the get-go to really drive. I do notice though he's doing a slide step, which is good for people on base every once in a while, but he's really losing a lot of velo. What we want to see is his body. He needs to get his leg up higher in order for his hips to load. So we want to be at least 60% of your body height. I mean, somewhere in here of a leg lift, and that way his hips have time to load. Right now his hips aren't loading, and then by the time he gets ready to push, his arm isn't even up to be ready. So he's really rushing things with this lower body. But sticking strictly with the lower half, he's got some work to do as far as squatting, and we have drills for that. So back leg squat, we need to work on that. External rotation of your front leg. So let's look at. So right now we're crossing up just a bit. What that means is you're stepping on this side of your foot, and I want to be somewhere around here. So we're not too far off, but if we could get your foot in this direction, right over there, maybe like inch or two that way, it's really going to help your back hips rotate, and I'll show you the reason why right now. So at plant foot, you literally planted. Let's watch what happens to your knee before you throw. So there's about a 7-degree difference in your knee, and what happens when you plant, your back hip has to wait until your knee gets over your ankle to start rotating. So now you start rotating because your front knee firms up, and that's what we want. So you actually do a pretty good job of this. Your front knee lands really well, but there is a variable there. So work on sticking and opening up that knee this way, foot over. That way your hips are going to rotate around it. Hips are going to rotate right there. Okay? So, awesome job. Moving into the stride angle and the front knee angle at plant foot. Right there, let's measure this. 106 degrees, which is pretty good. That's good. That's good extension. I think flexibility is there. We want to be there. I want to be above 110 degrees, and if you can get above 110 degrees, you're going to be able to do a lot of great things. I played with Tim Lincecum at Washington, and he was about 130 something degrees. It was absolutely ridiculous, which is why he threw so hard, and he was shorter than I was, and it was crazy. So 106. So I want to improve that, and the reason how we're going to improve that, how we're going to do that is we're going to have your upper body load, and we'll talk about this later. But your upper body is going to load back because your chest is just early and driving through. Also, we're going to raise your front knee up. So when you come up, you're actually going to raise that front knee and load it so your hips can load, and you're going to be able to drive further down the mount, if that makes any sense. So we definitely got to load. Upper body's going to rotate back, and that way you're going to push harder off your back leg, use more legs, and extend past that 106 degrees. So another measurement right here is where you're planted. I'm going to measure off of your front knee is 130 degrees, and as you rotate into it, it's right there, and then it increases. So we definitely want to be above 130, so you're right there. So if you can get your knee over your ankle and continue to rotate and plant at that 130 degrees, you're going to be doing some great things. Another thing I notice is as your leg comes up, you stop pushing. And a lot of that has to do with timing of your upper body coming back, but that leg lift is going to do wonders for you. That's a good leg lift, and I want to see that consistently. Big leg lift. But look at your front foot or your back foot. This foot is actually coming off the ground. So once you get it, now you got to put your foot down and then start pushing, and that's a huge transfer movement. So I want that front knee or front toe down and that heel to rotate up. Once your heel rotates up, it completely loses its power, and then you throw the ball. So we want to continue to maintain contact through drive. So pretty good though. Okay, so those quick things with your lower body. How are you? We got a little bit interrupted, so just gonna finish this with the upper body. So at release point, you're at what we call a B posture. So there's a few postures. There's an A posture. You're at a B posture. C posture would be over here, like Tim Lincecum or Trevor Bauer. The big thing here is that you need to understand that you are different than everyone else. You're a B posture, which means that you need to be you. And so when you come up in this position, hips are loading, everything's great. Your upper body's going forward though, this way, and we want it to go back. And so I'll draw a line as you go forward, right here, and this is how far of a change that your head has to make. So what I'd like to see you do is get your chest back this way. Start back probably 4 or 5 inches back, and then as you drive through, you're going to have very minimal work to do, and you're going to be able to rotate around your body, maybe even less than that, maybe right here. Boom. That way you're right where your head started, and you're going to maximize your rotation. So understand you are a B posture. Get in that position. Get your chest back a little bit, and that way you're going to maximize your strikes and your rotation, your power. All the great things come out of there. Okay, we're going to look at launch here. Your launch is, trying to see this a little bit. It's somewhere over here. So basically, that where that line is, that's the late launch. That's where we want to be. This would be a marginal launch over the foot, and this would be a late launch behind the foot. The further you are past your front foot, the less stress you have on your shoulder, and the more power you have, honestly. So I would say you're anywhere from marginal to late. I'm just trying to see where that release point is, and it's pretty close to being late, and that's where we want to be. All right, let's get into why the release point is that way. Your back leg's coming off the ground, and when it comes off the ground, you don't have the power to continue to push, but that could be the reason why, is because you're, especially on this left film, you do not get your leg up high and you're not able to continue to drive. This is a little bit better because of the back, the front leg comes up and you're able to get into that high leg kick. So getting into the upper body, front glove, you actually do a really good job of pinching your front glove through. That looks great. Awesome job. And at a release point, let's look at this chest extension. Right here, you're at around 36 degrees. I want to see you in the high 40s. We're talking, maybe 2 or 3 inches. Not a huge big deal, but it will make up a lot of velocity and make your arm feel a lot better. But what's going to make this better is having this front knee come back. And let's see, we got to teach you to retract that front knee. And in those videos online at 212athlete.com, you're gonna see the how to do that. Because if you can, a lot of it has to do with your knee being inside when you plant, and then also retracting it, making sure it comes back. So once the knee retracts and we get better back in here, all of a sudden the chest gets more active and you're able to throw with more of your body, less arm, and you just feel a lot better, honestly. I just finished about 5 years ago throwing, and I noticed a difference when I have a good chest extension and when I don't. So this one right here, we're gonna measure off of your elbows, what we call a high elbow. And right now your hand comes out. You're about 172, so we're elevated a little bit. What that means is your elbow needs to be around 180 degrees, and so in order to do that, we need to be right around there, so you can see your elbow is a little bit elevated. And now it's not a huge deal, but you're about 8 degrees off of 180, and what that means is we need to bring your elbow at that shoulder level. So as you come through, those lines need to kind of line up directly between those both of those shoulders, and that's going to keep you safer. So you're not too far off, but we definitely need to bring your elbow down. Looking at an arm fly out, the video I'm trying to see this real quick, but we want to stay kind of right on top of that elbow. So we do have a little bit of a fly out. Your arm flies out, but a lot of it has to do with your chest. Your chest extension could be better, and your front knee needs to retract, and I think that has a lot of effect on the chest, which has an effect on the elbow, which has an effect on the wrist. So all of these things are really connected, and it all starts back at your back leg. So really appreciate being a part of 212 Athlete. The last thing I want to see is this acromial line. You can see how your hands separate and go out. If you could separate and come up quicker, you're going to speed up. So instead of going down with your front glove down here, if you could come up and pinch quicker into that position faster, right into here faster, you're going to be able to rotate that chest faster. Hips are going to rotate faster. All these things are going to improve. So last thing, it's what we call stacking. So knees actually inside, which looks good, but the upper body needs to retract back. It needs to come back. And the more this head can stay over that rubber, the greater potential energy you're driving with your hips, and the more you're going to throw with your body. So I appreciate you being a part of this. Please don't hesitate to contact me with any questions.